silence your electronic devices. That'd be appreciated. Good evening, everyone. I call the Village of Massena Board of Trustees meeting for October 6, 2015 to order. Roll call, Mr. Offel.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Carvel. Here. Mr. Deshays. Mr. LeBeer. Here. I'm here. Approval of minutes for the September 1, 2015 minutes.
So
Motion by Mr. LeBeer, second by Mr. Deshays. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Reports of officers and committees, code enforcement, Mr. Carvel, Mr. LeBeer.
We have a discussion item a little bit later down on the agenda.
Economic development, Mr. Offel, Mr. LeBeer.
Don't have anything.
Mr. Ralston?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Fire department, Mr. Carvel, Mr. LeBeer.
Nothing to report this time, but we are going to meet a week from today.
Personnel committee, Mr. Carvel, Mr. Deshays.
Nothing to report this time.
Police committee, Mr. Carvel, Mr. Deshays.
We will have a discussion later on in the meeting.
Chief, I don't know. Recreation commission, Mr. Deshays.
We not have met, we'll meet next Tuesday. I know Mike's got something he wants to bring up. Okay.
Street committee, Mr. Offel, Mr. LeBeer.
Nothing.
And water and sewer, Mr. Offel, Mr. LeBeer.
Yes, we've got discussion item under D, old business.
Initial public comment period. As always, I would ask that you stand. Please state your name for the record. Initial public comment period. Mr. Gray.
Mr. Mayor, on behalf of the Sierra Theater Association, I'd like to thank the village and Mr. Fod and the DPW for their repair to the sidewalk. It helped us out a lot. We had a fundraiser this weekend. We put about 2,000 people through the haunted house. It was a great fundraiser beyond all expectations, so I wanted to thank Haas and DPW for, we had a little tripping hazard there, and our insurance company was a little hinky about it, but they're satisfied now. And it was such a success, we're gonna do a couple more nights before Halloween. And it's gonna go a long way to help us start some of our renovations, so I want to thank you publicly for it.
Thank you for thanking us. Further public comment.
I have a statement to make. Would that be under B or no?
I'll let you speak then if you'd like.
Okay,
Okay? Or you can do it now, whichever you prefer.
doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
What way you do it then?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Any further public comment period? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Old business, proposed resolution to accept proposal for professional services with David Birnbaum related to contract negotiations with Village of Massena employee bargaining units. You would have received the 3 proposals that we received, trustees? Entertain a motion?
So moved. Second?
Mr. Offal, second by Mr. Deshays. Discussion. This is a resolution. Mr. Offal.
Aye.
Mr. Carvel.
Aye.
Mr. Deshays.
All right.
Mr. LeBeer.
Aye.
Resolution carries. Discussion 204 East Orvis Street. As you know, we had a long discussion at the last meeting regarding what we will do with 204 East Orvis Street. Sir?
Christopher Tyler, owner of 204. In regards to it, one might ask if there's 150 other vacant properties, why I'm being singled out. I have a legitimate claim against New York Central Mutual with a court date, as previously mentioned, in February 22nd. And that's for that fire on November 16, 2012. I had a total of 6 properties, including the last one was 204, never had a fire. And I hope no one has to wait this long for their claim. New York Central has made this whole matter worse, and however, I think that demolishing my house is wrong and might even be discrimination. That will take away my option to rebuild, and if the village has an extra $30,000 to destroy my house, why don't they use it to rehab some of the kids hooked on heroin and maybe save a few lives? And I would like to be notified if, in fact, my house is going to be demolished, so I have time to make preparations.
Thank you, Mr.
your court date?
February 22nd, 2016.
Trustees, are you comfortable with waiting until Mr. Taylor takes this case to court and an answer is provided? You want to take action? What's your pleasure?
Well, it's 4 months. We waited how long now? 2, 3 years. When do you think you'll know of a decision on that?
Sometime after the court date, I hope. I mean, I didn't want this to go on this long. If I got my money when I should have, you know, I would have had that fixed by now.
Has your counsel given you an idea of what the process is like, what this court date is for? Will the matter be settled? Is it preliminary?
It's my day in court, and they have to pay a considerable amount more than they offered me because I had replacement costs on that property. And they only offered $35,000 as mentioned before, which is far from what I should get. They've lost 9 times out of the last 10 that my lawyer's taken them to court.
Two variables to consider. First of all, you're going to have a change in who's sitting in that judge's chair. So the new judge may or may not stay with the current docket, so it could be delayed further. Secondly, you can expect that who's ever sitting there, typically they don't issue a ruling right away. They have research to do and then they issue a ruling. So, but I mean, to the point we're going on nearly 3 years here, waiting 4 months or 5 months or 6 months doesn't seem unreasonable in my view.
I'll have to do that because I was there by that time. We'll know for sure one way or another. Probably 2 months, I'd say at least. They wouldn't much over 2 months from your court date till you get a decision on this.
I don't know. I've never had to go to court on something like this before. I mean, I invested my, I had a plane, I sold the plane to buy that property because I thought it was a good deal, and that's where all my retirement is tied up in that. You know, I've got no other, if I lose that, then I got nothing, except my truck and car and camper.
How much insurance did you have on that building?
I had replacement costs, and the estimate came in at $185,000
The estimate was $185,000?
to rebuild that house.
Wow.
And that's not counting the contents, as well as they owe me some living expenses as well.
So if you're to win this case, you start preparing as soon as you got the case settled.
I would get an estimate, yes.
Well, there's an awful lot of houses in Massena for sale. A lot have been vacant for quite a while. And we've got to start someplace. This one here is going on for, what'd you say, 3 years, Mayor? 3 years. We let it go this long, I guess personally, I think we can let it go till you get your hearing, your day in court. But
That would be
with
fair.
the new judge coming on, we don't know how long, like the mayor was saying, Judge Demarest is retired. Maybe, I don't know. Personally, I'll let it go another 3 months, 3 or 4 months, as far as I'm concerned.
Further discussion, trustees? Hearing none, then, Mr. Collier, appears at this point we're going to wait, since there's no formal motion on the floor to take action. I guess we probably reserve the right if something were to change between now and then. The trustees at any time can take action, but at this point it appears we're going to wait.
Wait
Okay?
till my court date?
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay,
That's what I'm hearing.
I appreciate that. That's fair.
Just one notation before you leave. Don't tell us how we're gonna spend that $30,000 for demolishing your house. We're up here doing a job, you know. Thank you.
Yep. It would be able to save some lives, maybe. That's all I mentioned. Thank you.
All right.
5C, vacant property registration. Mr. Levere.
Yeah, so, as we mentioned a couple meetings ago, the folks from Code and trustee Carvo and myself, met and talked about what we could do to get a vacant property registration, as that would be a great benefit to the Code folks. Research continues to be ongoing. I specifically have spent the last couple of weeks looking more at foreclosed property registration. Our biggest concern and why we're not rushing into anything is making sure that we're not adding on a burden to property owners that are doing what they're supposed to do with their properties. Last thing we want is to add on another regulatory burden or financial burden to any property owner who's maintaining their property vacant or not. So trustees will probably report back to you in another meeting or so. I need to get with trustee Carvo and then with Code folks and see if we can come to common agreement on if we want to propose something, what that would be. And if you have any insights, certainly feel free to reach out and would love to incorporate any thoughts that you have into it.
Any else, trustees? Thanks for taking your time on this, and your due diligence. D, discussion of water rates, Mr. Otto.
We've been discussing the possibility of having to raise water rates in the, for all customers in the village and outside of the village. I want to go through a couple scenarios here on your sheet of paper and give you an idea about what a rate increase would mean to residential customers. The proposal's for 60 cents per thousand, okay, per 1,000 gallons used. In the village, residents are charged for a minimum of 3,000 gallons used. So if you go across the sheet of paper here, you can see a village tier 1 user, which is in the 0 to 3,000 gallon range. Their minimal rate that they're paying right now, their old minimum rate per month, is $10.05. With a 60-cent increase, it raised to $11.85, or $1.80 a month, or $3.60 on their bill, $3.60 on their bill, or a 1-year increase at $21.60. For residents outside of the village, we service residents in the township of Massena in various water districts and non-districts. They're broken into residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional parcels. The same rate increase would apply, a 60-cent raise. The same thing, they'd see a difference of the residents would see an increase of $1.80 per month, $3.60 on their 2-month bill, and $21.60 per year. The rate in the village of Massena would go from $3.35, this is for residents, from $3.35 to $3.95. And the rate for residents outside of the village would go from $3.55 to $4.15. There's a difference in the rate between between residential properties in the village and outside of the village, and that was a result of when the Alcoa annexation of their water system into the village came about in the late 90s and early thousands. I kind of found through and list what a commercial would increase to. Industrial, we have one industrial customer, and that's Alcoa. They pay a flat rate up to a certain amount, and then any amount over that, they pay $6.95 per 1,000 gallons used. So their rate would increase as well. Their base rate would not change. And also you have the institutional charge there. They would go, theirs would raise, their new minimum monthly amount would be $83, which is an increase of $12. Now, this is all the data. I just want to preface this by saying that we've looked at rates outside of the village of Massena. I did some research and looked at rates outside of St. Lawrence County. We're very competitive. It's not to say that we should raise them because we're not as high as everybody else. There's the reasons that we've got to raise this are we consistently work to keep them low. Our last rate increase was in 2010, that's 5 years ago, going on 6 years, that's a long time ago. We've worked hard to keep them low. Our expenses have started to exceed our revenues, and our fund balance is at the point which we're not in a comfortable position right now. We're potentially 2 years from going in the red. Our expenses this year are going to exceed our revenues by an estimated $390K. Now, I say estimated based on a lot of things can change throughout the year. And, really don't know until Julie does her firm up at the end of the year. You can take a look at what we got in our packets of when she firmed up the main numbers here. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Our staffing levels at the water treatment facility are identical to 2005, so it's not a result of us hiring more people down there. We've replaced people. People are going to retire, and we made the decision to train people while the knowledge is around. It's our succession plan. Many businesses do succession planning, many do not. I think it's a good thing for us to do it, especially when you're talking about a water treatment facility. Increases are never welcome, but I think the time's here. Like I said, the proposal's 60 cents. The 60-cent increase will result in a revenue stream of approximately $300,000 per year. And that's across the residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional realms. The 60-cent increase won't close the gap in 1 year. It's something we may have to address again, but I think a 60-cent increase is a fair place to start, and it'll give us an idea where we stand coming into budget time next year, or even the year after. Nothing says that we have to do it again next year, or even the year after. We have to do something, and I think 60 is a good place to start, based on the data that we've been looking at. So what I'm proposing, or I should say Matt and I have talked about this and with Haas and with Lisa Tile and past numbers around. The suggestion is that at our next meeting, we get all this down in the new local law, and we have it take effect December 1st. We'll have to get together with Lisa to find out when the rates can actually be, when a good time is for the rates based on the billing cycle. But I think at the next opportunity, be it December, maybe even January of 2016, that'd be the time to start. And we've pretty much been telling people that this is gonna happen, and it took a long time to look at the data to digest it, so it's not a knee-jerk reaction. A lot of time went into it and thought, and I think it's a great thing to do. And I welcome questions or comments from my colleagues.
Yeah, to your point, Trustee Hoffeld, a lot of data was looked at in looking at these rates, and it's never easy, whether it's a tax going up or a rate going up. We know it hits pockets, and it may not seem substantial, but we get it. That being said, to maintain the level of service that we have, to maintain the maintenance maintenance that we do along with our day-to-day operations is critical in keeping long-term expenditures down. So the other options I don't even wanna think about, you know, to go below 2005 staffing levels again will be catastrophic in terms of long-term maintenance of equipment. This is, to Tim's point, it's been 5-6 years. 60 cents is, it's a good place to start. I think it'll help quite a bit to offset the problem we're having with revenues not keeping up with expenses, and I think it's the way we need to go. Tim, not having Julie here tonight, do you think it might be better off to go 2 meetings out? In case she has any input that alters our thinking? I just know the public law announcements needing to be made, if she threw anything out there that maybe we didn't
Next step
consider.
is we'd have to schedule a public hearing. The public notice would have to be done by the 9th, October 9th.
I'd have to have everything
To
this
be
time.
prepared for the next board meeting. That notice would also have to include the rate change.
In your discussions, can you see that, Dr. Hostel? I mean, haven't had any discussions directly with Julie, I've spoken to Lisa, and emailed her back and forth. In your discussions with her, can you see any reason that she would be,
I think she would be a proponent of, I don't want to speak for her, but having dialogue with her in the past during board meetings, she had expressed a concern in regards to our unappropriate fund balance. So I think she would be a proponent to try and move this thing along as quickly as possible. But she is very concerned about the fund balance.
bills go out in November, or, oh, there's Lisa right there, couldn't see her behind the mic.
Each billing cycle goes out every other month.
Every other month. Okay. So it really doesn't matter what month we do it, right?
No, as long as you pay the first of the month.
Okay. I just assume this is doing.
I don't know what these guys are thinking.
A couple things that I would, I guess, get you to think about. Just for historical data, since 1976, this would be the 10th time we've raised rates. Since 1976, we've raised them 9 previous times. Last time was June of 2010. So we did change, fiscally, we changed the way we operated those accounts back in 2008, 2009, 2010. This isn't let's make small incremental increases. But historically, we've made bigger increases to build the fund balance and then just drawn from the fund balance for, in this case, it looks like for 5 years until we've had to do it again. So this decision is how you want to continue to fiscally manage those accounts.
What's the dollar projected increase at 60 cents per thousand?
I'm not sure that I understand the question.
I think
How
it's
much are we gonna bring in at 60 cents a thousand?
about
Oh,
Per
300.
year?
300,000.
We're gonna bring in 300.
That's across residential, commercial, industrial, across the board. And like I said, that's, it's difficult to get as much data, it's difficult just to hit a button and get the data out of the program that Lisa has to use right now, but that's a good estimate.
Is this sheet annual increase? Or
Say that again?
That's a reference sheet. I pulled data out of a
Okay.
very complete spreadsheet that Lisa had sent to us.
Okay,
Lisa
so-
sent us a very
Right.
detailed spreadsheet.
But yes,
Right.
it was annual.
Okay, so to your point, Francis, specifically, so residentially it would increase $260,526. The commercial increase would be $49,269 for a total of $309,000.
this increase, how long, how long projected before you'd have to have rain?
Well, the projection this year is our revenues are gonna exceed, or I'm sorry, our expenses are gonna exceed our revenues by $90,000 above that. So in other words, we've got a deficit this year of $390,000. This rate increase will close that to $90,000. And then I'm not sure, I don't know exactly how much we have in our fund balance, Haas. Can you help me out with that? I didn't have that sheet here with me tonight. The water fund balance. So we'd still be leaning on that somewhat. And like I said, it all depends on, is the usage gonna stay the same? You know, what else is, because that drives it really. You use more water, you get more revenue. Costs you more to treat the water, you know what I mean, one of those things.
Unappropriated fund balance at the end of the fiscal year, so starting in this fiscal year, unappropriated $322,277.
So that would put us, what'd you say, 322?
322.
Minus 90 is 230. So we'd still have a $230,000 cushion if everything were in the fund balance, if everything were to work right. But don't forget, this is only a half a year of a rate increase, not a full year of a rate increase, especially if we started in January. Could even less than half a year.
And I, figures aren't driving for me for some reason. You're gonna bring in 320,000 extra, but, you had a fund balance that you only used 90,000 out of. How are you talking about it's not gonna cover, you're gonna need, $400,000 for this year?
From the projections at our budget meeting, the mayor shared the sheet that said 2015 and 16, our projected revenues were $1,604,000, and our projected expenses were $2 million. So there's $400,000 right there that we could potentially be in the hole. You know what it's like when you're trying to estimate water sewer. I mean, if you look at the closeout at the end of the year, our revenues last year exceeded what we budgeted. You know, at the May 31st sheet that Lisa and Julie put out for us. And that's why I said, I mean, this isn't gonna close that entire gap, but it's gonna close the gap somewhat and give us a chance to look at it. But let's not fool anybody. We have to do something. And that's a good, I'm confident that's a good place to start. And if we, you get it like Tim had said, get enough in the fund balance, then you draw down on it. Address it again. I mean, people are gonna come back, they could potentially come back and look at a percentage increase. The percentages are not a good measuring tool when you're talking about low numbers. If I charge you a penny for something, and then tomorrow I charge you 2 pennies for it, I've raised it 100%. Is that a fair analysis? And I mean, you can throw percentages at these numbers and get the same thing. That's why I tried to lay out what it would cost an average homeowner for a year. And one thing that I didn't point out, it's on your sheet, that the minimum usage is 300 gallons per month, and in October, August, what did I say? 300,000? 3,000, what did I say? 300. Yeah, that's a couple flushes in the toilet. In any event, in August and September of 2015, about 50% of our population was at that 3,000 gallon measure.
That's minimum.
Yeah, they were at or below the minimum. So the $21.60 that's listed here for village tier 1 type people, the majority of our residents are gonna see an increase of that. Higher users are gonna pay more, which is what the tiered system is all about.